This is the Leadership School podcast. From conflict resolution, boundaries, and customer service, we dive into what it takes to be an extraordinary leader.
Anchor Podcast is the easiest way to make a podcast. Not only is it free, but it has everything you need, including creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. For me, in just a few minutes, I was able to go from an idea to a reality of having my podcast launched and out there. Anchor not only distributes your podcast for you on all platforms, but it has everything you need in one place. You can download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
I'm Kyla Cofer, and this is episode 1. Since this is the first episode of the Leadership School podcast, I want to set the stage right now for kind of how this school is going to change your life. So what you're going to be learning in this podcast are the very foundations for how to be a leader with integrity. You're going to be hearing a lot in this school about foundations. What are the basic skills that you need to not just be a successful leader, but an effective and an extraordinary leader? Someone who leads with integrity and leading with other people's interests in mind. So when you are a leader with integrity and you have the strength and you have the skills, the toolkit to really step into your leadership role, you are the person who is going to be making decisions when it matters. And you're going to have the skills that you need to make those decisions. You know, when it comes time, when it's game time, game moment, and you need to make that game day decision, you want to make sure that you have the skills that you need to do that and to be able to make a decision that you can be confident in and a decision that you can feel good about and be proud of. So those are the kinds of things we're going to be really getting into here in our leadership school. I'm going to be compiling my decades of leadership experience, education, and research to give you these tools that you need to grow and really strengthen your leadership, and also to find and to seek out those leadership opportunities in your community. I'm going to be bringing in guest speakers, and I want to hear your questions, your specific situations, things that you're going through, things that you're anticipating, or you've just been really has been on the back of your mind and you've just wanted to know, how do you approach this? How do you deal with this situation, this job, this employee, this pursuit that you have? You know, I really want to be able to hear those and make sure that you get the support that you need so that you can be that effective, extraordinary leader with integrity. And I really want to just kind of emphasize that right now, the integrity. So that is one of my personal values, but really you can do a quick Google search if you want, like, what does it mean to be a leader? And you're going to see integrity on that list. To be an effective leader, you are going to be a leader with integrity. When you think about the leaders who've had a positive influence in your life and the ones that you look up to, admire, you're going to probably notice that it's their integrity. And you get to determine what kind of leader that you're going to be. So we're going to start from right here. If you have no interest in being a person of integrity, don't waste your time on this podcast, because I am going to approach this. The guest speakers that we have are going to approach all of the content, all of the curriculum here on really being a leader with that integrity behind it. Because when you are leading other people, I'm going to talk about that here in a second, but really what it means to be a leader is leading other people. When you are doing that, if you are not leading with integrity, you are not going to be a leader that people trust. And you want people to trust you. That is when we are talking about foundations of leadership, that is going to be the very foundation, the very basic of being a leader, is that you cannot lead well if people don't trust you. And how do you get people to trust you? is by making decisions with integrity. And are you going to always make the right decision? No. Are you going to always be perfect? Are you going to always know exactly what to do and how to handle every situation? No, that comes with time, with experience, with skills, with practice, with growing and trying and failing. All of those things we're going to talk about here in this school and really dig into so that you can start to build those as part of your leadership experience. But if people don't trust you, you are not going to have any chance of being effective in your leadership. And when we talk about being an extraordinary leader, that's what we talk about. Someone that people follow because they see you and they trust you and they believe in you. They believe that you can lead them to a place where they want to go. So bring me your questions and your situations. We're going to get into all those things that I just talked about, but we're also going to be covering topics such as purpose. What does it mean to be purposeful as a leader? What is your specific purpose? Personally, as in your career, in your volunteer work, in your family, your relationships, and in your leadership, what is your purpose and how do you play that out? How do you find that? How do you pursue that? We're going to talk about boundaries. What are boundaries? This is going to be more than one episode because I personally love talking about boundaries. It is one of my favorite subjects because learning about and practicing boundaries has changed my life. And I love sharing with others how that has really changed and transformed who I am and my leadership skills and my relationships and really my entire life. And I see how boundaries affects people. I mean, it's so clear to me. And I want to make sure that we really get into that and that we have space to practice that. Because if you do not have clear and effective boundaries in your leadership, you are not going to be that strong leader with integrity. I mean, boundaries they're essential to integrity. They really are. So you can hear me. You can hear my voice. I just get really excited talking about this and I'll go on and on and on and on and on. So be looking out for an episode, not just one, episodes on boundaries. Those are coming. Self-care. I am a leadership and self-care coach. So we're going to talk a lot about self-care because leaders who take care of themselves and who know what that means and who can implement good self-care practices are going to be effective and extraordinary. And we'll really get into what that means and how that is and what that looks like and how to really practice that every day. Conflict resolution. Oh my goodness. Conflict resolution. There are entire degrees on conflict resolution that you can get at college. So we're really going to talk about this because conflict comes up, as leaders, just in our lives and relationships, conflict comes up. This isn't just for leaders, but man, if we can be good at conflict resolution, if we can practice that and have tools for doing that and see situations not as something to win, but as something to come together and resolve and work together to grow, we're really going to be making a significant difference and a significant impact in our lives and in our communities, our relationships, and with the things that we're pursuing and the change that we're trying to make. It's a really, really cool thing when you can come to a conflict with a way to resolve it and to work together. So we're going to really talk about that, give you some skills for that, and make sure that you have some knowledge and some expertise there. So when the conflicts happen, you can start looking at them a little bit differently. And you'll see how, as you're learning these tools and these skills, how it starts to affect not just your leadership roles, like in your job or your volunteer, but how it affects other things like your parenting, your relationships with your parents, your significant other, your friendships. It starts to affect all of things and all the aspects in our life. And those skills just kind of start to overflow, Failure. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about failure because we have all experienced failure. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm a parent. I'm a mom. I have 2 young kids. And gosh, I feel like failure is just something I practice every day and have to learn from and grow from. And, we are we're just going to see it. So what do we do when we fail? How do we fail with style, I guess? How do we fail and 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 come out on the other side? How do we fail not just to fail, but fail with purpose, really, to fail and be prepared for that, to know that our life isn't determined by our failures, but our failures can make us and can shape us and help us be better and stronger and extraordinary. Failing with integrity. We'll talk about that. Gosh, that's a whole thing, right? Like, if you're going to fail, how do you fail with integrity? How do you apologize well? We'll go through an apology script. Even you're going to have a tool for how do you apologize well. And then we're going to talk about courage in adversity, courage for pursuing things that are hard, but also courage to have fun, courage to really live your life, courage to just step out there, courage to lead, courage to be the person that people are looking at for example and looking at to follow. How do we find that courage? How do we step into it and not run from it? We're going to talk about that. We're going to bring in some experts are who talk about this every day. We want you to feel like, oh, I can have confidence. I can have courage. This is something that can come naturally to you. Sometimes courage doesn't feel like it comes naturally. We think we might have courage in like a specific situation, but courage is something that can happen every day. And we're always practicing that. So we're going to really get into that. Those are just a few of the topics that we're going to cover in just these first episodes. We're going to really dive into even more than that: customer service, being an example, what to do when someone's looking at you for a decision. I really want in this leadership school to dive into some details, give you some fundamentals, the foundations for taking a leap into being that leader that you really want to be. So today, as we get started, I just want to talk about the basic of what it means to be a leader. Like, what is the very definition of a leader? What is leadership? What does that mean? So really what it means to be a leader is that you're the one that people go to and look to and listen to, just like I've been talking about. People are following you. If you're a leader, that means you're following. You guys, I'm sure you've heard that song, Following the Leader, the Leader. If you are leading, people are following. And there are a lot of different types and styles of leadership. Everybody has their own leadership style. And as you grow and as you mature in age, you'll notice that your leadership style is going to shift and change just depending on your own personal experiences. Think about right now, like take a second to think about some of the leaders that you know. You're going to think about people who maybe your old bosses, or your current bosses, your parents, somebody in your religion, coaches, people who have kind of mentored you or led the way, and people that you see. Leadership in government. It's probably pretty easy for you to come with maybe 2 or 3 right off the top of your head of leaders that you really respect, people who you look up to, who you're probably going to call for advice even for the next 20 years, people whose mentorship continues to impact you because you remember what they said or what they taught you, and you shape some of your decisions based off of that. And then you've got leaders who, even though they are leaders, they're not people you look up to. They're really great examples to you of who you don't want to be. You can look at someone and say, oh, I know that I don't want to respond that way. I don't want to act like that. It's a really great example of who I don't want to be. So as we're kind of thinking about our leadership, think about some of those people who have influenced you, whether it's been a positive or negative influence. They have led you in some way. And I want you to think about what that means to you. Like, how is that shaping you? How is that helping you to decide who you want to be? And when we get into in our next episode, purpose, we're going to get into about what it looks like to lead with purpose and what is your purpose as a leader. As you're thinking about your purpose, think about what kind of leader do you want to be? What is kind of your personal leadership style? Think about a leadership style that you admire, that has really meant a lot to you, and kind of think through, what does that look like? What does that mean, a leadership style? How have they acted in tough situations? How have they responded when it counted, when it mattered? But also, how did they respond on the normal day? How did they approach you? How did they communicate with you? How did they let you know about things coming up? How did they teach you and educate you and make sure that you had those tools and the resources that you needed to succeed? Because as you're leading others, you want them to succeed. That is the beauty of leadership, is that people are following you. And it's not all about, when we talk about leading with integrity, a leader with integrity is not going to be all about leading for the power of it. It's leading to show other people how to succeed as well, and bringing other people up with you. So think about what kind of leader it is that you are now, what kind of leader that you want to be, and who are some of those examples that you either admire or that you kind of cringe at, that you feel, ugh, when I think about that person, my shoulders kind of tense up and my nose crinkles, and I think, oh my goodness, I remember that. And I hope that I'm nothing like that. I know you've got examples of that. We all have examples of that, and they're great teachers. So I want you to think through all of these things, and we're going to get into all of this in these next episodes. Like I said, I am a leadership and self-care coach, and you'll learn more about me as we go on, but I was a born leader. My mom, to this day, she still tells stories about kindergarten, about how I was leading by example as early as kindergarten. And every chance that I've gotten throughout my life to be a leader, to lead a group, or to learn and put myself in that situation, I've taken, and I have learned a ton. And I am here to share all of that wisdom and expertise with you, and to say that I really believe that you too are a born leader. If you're listening to this, you are. Just because you have that stirring inside of you, kind of in your soul there, that you know that there's something in you that wants to lead the way, which means you're a born leader. And as you follow along in this Leadership School podcast, you're going to start to notice that your skills are going to sharpen, your confidence is growing, and you're going to have that strength and that courage to really step in, to not just be a leader, but to be an extraordinary leader with integrity. So I'm really excited about this, and I cannot wait to go through this journey, this school, this curriculum with you. And like I said, if you have questions, if you have specific situations that you're hoping to learn about, then let's cover them. Shoot me a message and let me make sure that I can answer those questions for you, because that's what school is, right? It's a place for us to learn, to grow, to make sure all of our questions get answered so that we can go to the next day with confidence and feeling like we know what we're doing. We feel good about where we're going. We're motivated. We're inspired. We're encouraged. And I want all of those things for you. I am just really excited about it. I hope you can hear that as I'm talking, because, when I get excited, I start talking more and more and more, and faster and faster and faster. And I'll try and keep it nice and slow in this podcast. But I am just thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to share this expertise with you and bring these speakers along. And I think it's going to be a really great experience for you. I'm excited to see how you grow in your leadership. And I hope that you'll join me for the next episode, where we talk about purpose and what it means to lead with purpose and what your purpose is. Hey, if you enjoy listening to this podcast, you have to come check out my 8-week leadership coaching program. You can see all the details on my website at kylacofer.com. That's spelled KYLACOF as in friend, ER.com. Thanks for listening.